I'm Jim Manning, author of Patriotism Unhinged, available worldwide through online retailers and audiobooks. It's interesting to note that you don't often see any evidence or anybody talking about how many people were not necessarily upset about the assassination of John Kennedy. I would say to you that 2 or 3 weeks before he was killed, the assassination with his go-ahead took place in Vietnam with the killing of the Diem brothers, the coup. There were some indications that some people were so upset about that they may have wanted to do something to Kennedy. Then we talk about Israel. Ben-Gurion, who was the first prime minister of Israel, hated the Kennedys because he wanted to get an atomic bomb. He thought that with being completely surrounded by people that said, we have to wipe these people out. There were so many of them that if they could get and be the only one with an atomic bomb, everybody would have to back off. I don't know exactly what Kennedy's position was on it, but he would never give in on it. Israel wasn't so upset when it happened. In fact, there was an Israeli involved in the assassination of the assassins in Maryland. Another group of people that had a reason. Kennedy believed that there were too many secrets and that the deep state wanted to control things so much that he was talking about how he was going to bring out the alien specific problems. He knew that President Eisenhower had met in California at Edwards Air Force Base with some aliens. He was off the charts for about 24 hours, and they said he had some dental work that had to be done. His relatives, one of which is a granddaughter who's still alive, and so he shared some of that with his family, who figure now it's pretty well known. A lot of information was gathered at the Roswell incident. They gave some of the items to places like Massachusetts Institute of Technology. They gave them to a lot of technical schools to see if they could figure out what these things were. Well, they gave a piece to some scientists that might have been Purdue. They worked on it and looked at it for a time, and then they couldn't come up with anything, so they got some of their graduate students involved, and one of them figured out what it was. It was a transistor. From that, transistor radios weren't that far away after that. The first little radios that were real small, and, you take them to the ball game and listen to the game on there while you're watching it, that type of thing. They also were able to determine how to see in the dark. Yeah, the night vision goggles are also, you can thank engineers who looked at that. And also Kevlar, strong, bullets won't go through it. I mean, all that came from the Roswell thing. And there are so many people that know all about this stuff, but they just, it doesn't get around. Kennedy knew about the Roswell incident. Truman thought that if it came out, it could be a panic situation like the Orson Welles radio show, that some people killed themselves and their children and so forth. So he didn't want anything to come out. So what he did was he formed this group called the Majestic 12. And they were scientists, they were high-ranking military officers, people that were related to psychological things, and also the first Secretary of Defense. Of the people involved in it, James Forrestal was the only one who actually wanted to bring it out and not make a big deal out of it, but to just let people slowly just understand it so that in the event that something were to happen, it wouldn't be a catastrophe. And he was pushing for that really hard. They picked up Mr. Forrestal. They took him to Bethesda Hospital to the psychiatric ward. They threw him out of the 14th or 16th floor window. Said he had committed suicide. The problem is he wasn't able to break those windows, wasn't strong enough to do it. So somebody had to break it and then throw him out. You know, when I was a kid, if you said you saw something in the sky, they would laugh at you. And now we have our pilots speaking before Congress and telling them about their contacts with extraterrestrials. Life is moving fast. Most people that are really into the alien studies, they believe that the aliens have always been here before us and that we're the product of them. There was a fellow who lost some of his fingers. They say that underground in Apache country, they're living down there. They're living down there. And they have like Navy SEAL type people guarding them. And one time they got up. So there was a big fight. 40, 50 Americans were killed, and they destroyed a lot of the ones because they were fighting them. But anyway, the one guy that lived told about it. He had bona fides. He worked there.
I'm Phil Schneider. I spent 17 years in black budget programs. Government geologist, as engineer, structural engineer. The alien thing is more than just what I'd call a non-visible threat. We on the surface, first of all information dealing with alien or alien reproduced technology or alien reproduced vehicles or any other kinds of things well hidden from the American public. Up here I have different artifacts explaining some of them are alien metals that have been produced both on this planet and the confines of outer space that are now used in all stealth aircraft. All stealth aircraft, for instance, all black jets, what you're seeing of black helicopters and the like, the skins and the coatings and the residues that are used predominantly in the aircraft themselves, in the airframes and the rotor blades and the fans, and in some cases in submarines, special titanium hulls, in the Phoenix class submarines now. All this has come from alien technology. 1947 is what the public has been told. Something crashed in the backyard in New Mexico, a place called Roswell, New Mexico. Unfortunately, that's what the public's been told. The military's known about the alien question for the better part of 70 years, and they first saw their glimpse of what was going on as early as 1909 in the American Southwest. The public basically has been totally lied to. We're considered stupid or even moronic in some cases. It's got to stop. If we're going to gain our country back, we must, and I repeat, we must instill in our public officials, anybody that goes and does public service, they must tell us the truth. If they cannot do this, then they must be impeached, or they must be removed from office.
He would close his lectures by saying that when his time came, just like his friend, his murder would be made to look like a suicide, reiterating that he had no wish to end his own life. Throughout 1995, Schneider continued to tour the United States, giving talks in which he listed numerous other alleged conspiracies, alongside the revelations of deep underground military bases. Then, in January of 1996, 2 months after his final speech in Denver, federal agents arrived at the home of Schneider's ex-wife, Cynthia. They explained how Phil had been found dead in his apartment in Wilsonville, having apparently decided to take his own life. The agents went on to conduct a search of Cynthia's house, removing any notes or materials relating to Phil and his lectures, before then leaving.
Now I'm going to move on to Kennedy wanting to do away with oil depletion allowance. We've talked about that before, but now one more group, oil men, who were going to lose millions and millions of dollars. And the list goes on of people that had something to lose. I think he was going to do something to the Federal Reserve where the money would be backed up by silver. And instead of just printing money that had no real value, world bankers all had some say about what he was going to try to do there. The Federal Reserve bankers were not happy with his scheme to change the money so that he did print some money that was backed with silver. And eventually, a decade later, we went off the gold standard. There's another group of people who, for the reason that they didn't want that information out, might have, been in favor of an assassination.